Hello there, my name is Odwar Abdullah, also known as the Calorie Queen. Thank you so much for choosing to check out this training. So, I'm going to be showing you how to create healthy, balanced meals that help my clients to not only lose weight, but ensure that they stay full, that they never feel deprived, and never feel like they are being punished for wanting to eat healthy and look good. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, the first thing that you have to understand is that regardless of what you eat, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. But of course, we don't want to just eat junk, right? Honestly, if you eat junk, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you will still lose weight. But we don't want to just lose weight. We want to lose weight in a healthy way. So we want to ensure that we are creating a calorie deficit in a way that is balanced and actually healthy. But let me quickly explain what a calorie deficit is. Super, super important. So I like to explain it like money, right? Now, I want you to imagine that on a daily basis, you are on like an allowance. So imagine, back when we used to have our parents used to give us allowance, right? And I want you to imagine that you had a specific amount that was, in quotes, okay for you. Now, that is the amount of calories you're supposed to be eating per day. Now, every single one of us has, we basically have a calorie allowance that ensures that we stay at the current weight that we're in and we stay there. But I want you to now imagine a scenario where, let's say for some reason, some rich uncles and rich aunties came by and all of a sudden you had extra allowance. So maybe instead of the 2,000 naira that was your budget on a daily basis, all of a sudden you find yourself with 2,500 naira. Amazing, right? But remember, you only need 2,000. So what happens with your body is, even though you're giving it more than you need, it will use the 2,000 that it needs. But you see that extra 500 on top is going to save it. Okay? So it's just the same way you would save money in a bank account, because you have excess. So you just save it for a rainy day. So that's the same way your body stores those excess calories for, in quote, a rainy day, but it stores it and converts it to fat. Now, I want you to imagine maybe this your uncle is around for a very long time, right? This your rich uncle or rich auntie. And for a period of time, he kept getting extra allowance. Now, in this case, you're actually eating extra calories consistently until you had saved up so much savings, or in this case, you ended up storing so much fat. That is how we gain weight. Okay? Now that you want to lose weight, you need to do the reverse. Okay? Now, let's imagine that you were naughty and then your parents decided, you know what, I'm never giving you 2,000 naira anymore. I'm cutting your allowance and now I don't care, go and manage 1,500. But remember again, the fact that your body needs that 2,000 does not change. It needs the 2,000. But if you now started giving it 1,500, what your body is going to do is to find that extra 500 calories from somewhere. Now, there are two places that your body can get calories from. It can either get it from the food you eat, or it can convert. You remember that it was excess calories that became fat. Your body can convert that fat back into calories and then use that, because your body needs these calories, right, to function. My talking right now to do this training, you waking up in the morning, even if you don't do anything, you're burning calories because your heart is beating, your liver is functioning, your kidneys, your everything requires calories, right? So if you now put your body in a situation where it's not getting enough from your food, it is going to go to your fat stores and burn. So you see now, remember your body needs 2,000. So I want you to just imagine that now that you have this 1,500, right? You need an extra 500. You're going to go and borrow from your savings. So your body will literally burn 500 calories worth of fat and then add it to the 1,500 that came from the food. And that's what's going to happen. Now imagine that you consistently do that. Right? That every day you are intentionally shortchanging the calories, forcing your body to burn from the fat stores it already has. That is how you lose weight. Now, the difference between what you were supposed to give your body, which was like, for example, the 2,000 naira, versus what you gave it, which is the 500, which is 1,500, that difference of 500 calories is what we call a calorie deficit. Okay? Now, the larger the deficit, the faster you lose weight. So typically, most times we do 300 to 500 calories ideally is healthy, especially if you want to lose weight in a steady way. If you begin to do significantly more, yes, you will lose weight faster, but then you also run the risk of your diet being more restrictive. You also run the risk of beginning to burn. Remember, we want to burn fat, but when you create such a large deficit, you begin to also burn significant amounts of muscle. When you begin to burn significant amount of muscle, you know what's going to happen? Your metabolism is going to tank. And even though you lost weight quickly and you're probably happy, what will probably happen is that this new smaller body you're happy about, this result you're so proud of, it would most likely not last long because it will be so easy for you to gain the weight back. Because again, your metabolism is smaller. Whatever diet you're probably doing to create that deficit likely will not be sustainable. Okay, so there's a very, very high chance that you probably just go back to whatever you're doing before, right? Which is eating excess calories. And now that your body has a slower metabolism, the weight will just hit you so much faster. So that's something you absolutely, absolutely want to avoid, okay? So what I want to teach you now is how I help my clients basically create this calorie deficit, but again, in a way that is sustainable, in a way that is enjoyable, and actually realistic for you long term. All right, so let's get back to it. Okay, now when you're thinking about food, there's something I really need to explain. You need to appreciate something called calorie density. Now, what I mean is different classes of food have different, in terms of how, I like this morning to explain this thing, in terms of how many calories that they carry. So let's start with vegetables. So vegetables are the smallest. So what we're going to do is compare different classes of food, okay, in the same quantity, and then we'll compare with the calories. So I have cabbage here. The cabbage here is representing vegetables, basically. So a cup of cabbage, like if you shredded cabbage, a cup is about 17 calories, right? So that's vegetables. Now let's move on to a fruit. If you took some pawpaw, you diced it into cubes, and you measured it with a cup is about 60 calories. So you appreciate that there's a jump here, right? So we've gone from about 17 to about 60. So obviously, vegetables are the lowest. When you come up to fruits, it's a little higher, but to be honest, it's still relatively low. Now, let's move on to carbs. So now we're representing carbs here with rice. So a cup of cooked rice now is 205. You can see again, the calories have jumped. It is getting more expensive, okay? For this same 1 cup, it is getting more expensive calorie-wise. Then, let's move on to protein. So I'm representing protein here with some cooked chicken. So let's say like cooked chicken breast. Let's imagine that you diced it you measure 1 cup. So that's about 250 calories. So kind of similar to that of carbs. Now let's move on to fat. Okay, and I'm representing fat here with groundnuts. Okay, a cup of groundnuts is about 830 calories. That is a big, 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 big jump. So when you know what class a particular food falls, you need to start beginning to think of the quantity. Now, when something falls under vegetables, because calorie-wise, vegetables are very, very cheap. You can eat plenty and get away with it. But when you get to fats, those are expensive. When something is expensive, you don't buy plenty of it, right? It's just common sense. When something is cheap, you can buy plenty, you can share, you can even dash people. But when something is expensive, and the normal thing we do is that we buy it in smaller quantities because it's expensive. So again, if a food is expensive calorie-wise, if food has lots of calories, you need to then know that you need to come back, you need to reduce it. So when it comes to your fats and oils, just looking at these numbers, nobody should tell you that you should be doing them in small quantities. Now, for your carbs and your protein, you can still do them in moderate quantities. They're not as bad as fats, but they're definitely still, a significant amount of calories, and then our fruits, are still relatively low. And then our vegetables, that's where we can really, really splurge, so to speak. And we know that, most likely it's not adding as much. So this is one thing I first need to understand. So whenever you think of any class of food, just think of it this way. But one mistake I know a lot of people make is then classifying foods wrongly. So for example, people think that an avocado, for example, is a fruit. No, an avocado is a source of healthy fat. But the fact that it's healthy does not remove the fact that it is still a fat, right? So like your average avocado, you'll be nearing to 5,300 calories. Now, a very large apple of about the same size will not be more than 100. So they are not in the same class. Apple is a fruit, avocado is a source of fat. Just don't even get it mixed up. People will say, well, groundnuts are healthy, cashew nuts are healthy. Yes, but it doesn't remove the fact that it's still a fat. Okay? Healthy or not, the reason why we say that they're healthy is because of the type of fat that they contain. Not that they are low calorie. The type of fat they contain is good for your cholesterol levels. That's a different matter. But when it comes to calories, when it comes to weight gain, they are high calorie. You need to really watch your quantity. These are not kind of things you can just snack on anyhow. Same thing with your oils. Whether it's even if it's olive oil you're using, I don't care how expensive a bottle of olive oil is, the one that you're using. Whether you paid through your nose for it, the calories are still the same with every other oil. That olive oil is healthy again because it's good for your cholesterol, because it has anti-inflammatory properties. Those are separate from the calorie issue that we're talking about when you talk about weight loss. So yes, use the olive oil because it's healthy, but don't drink it. Okay? You need to be very careful. All right, so now I want to show you the method that I said that I use, and it's called the plate method. That is one of the simplest ways that you can address portion control. So let me quickly explain what it means or how it works. So if you take like your regular plate, right? The idea is for you to at least ensure that you're filling up at least half of that plate with vegetables, right? And it's not even about, you don't even have to present it the way I presented it. But again, remember what I said, vegetables are cheap calorie wise. So, go on, enjoy as much as you can. And then for the second half of your plate, we're going to split that into two. You want about a quarter of it to be some kind of starch, rice, pasta, yam, plantain. And then the final part here will then be your lean protein. So by lean protein, I mean that you're ensuring that it's protein that doesn't have too much fat. So for example, you're cooking beef, try and remove as much fat as you can before you cook it. Even with your chicken as well, you're trying to remove as much fat as possible. And then you can complete the meal with a small fruit. Now, you can decide to eat the fruit with the meal or not. That's up to you. Okay. You can eat the fruit as a snack, but you don't have to eat it with the meal. Now, obviously, one class of food is missing here, which is the oil and the fats. Now, obviously, that is going to come into this meal in so many ways. If we look at this example now, this coleslaw is going to come with a dressing. That's a source of fat. This stew is going to come with some oil, another source of fat. Now, generally, you want to keep the fat as low as possible. Okay, so when I'm taking this coleslaw, I'm going to ensure that I'm using little salad dressing. And if you want to use more, then I definitely advise that you go with a low-fat version so that you can increase the quantity that you want to use. So because for example now, a tablespoon of regular mayonnaise is about 100 calories, but the low-fat mayonnaise is about 42 to 45 calories depending on brand. So if I was to do the low-fat version, 2 tablespoons is the same calories with 1 tablespoon of the regular one. You get. So yeah, that's one trick that you can use. And then for example, even my stew, I'm going to ensure that it's not this case where you have oil swimming on top of the stew. Okay, that's something you want to avoid. Each tablespoon of oil is 120 calories. Oil is one of those sneaky things that we don't really appreciate in terms of how many calories it's adding to your meal. And that's why sometimes it can get frustrating because it's like, I'm cutting my portions, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I'm not losing weight, because you're still eating calories in ways that you are not understanding or you're not seeing. Okay, so this is another example. Again, vegetables, some beef. So this is boiled. Obviously, remember we're trying to cut down oil, so obviously deep frying is a no-no. Okay, so you can air fry. I mean, thank God, there's an invention called air fryers, which are amazing. So you can air fry, you can boil, you can grill, you can roast, you can do all of that. And then of course, a small portion of some swallow, and you're good. Okay. So I just want to show you the power. So this is a testimonial that somebody sent using the plate method. And it says, "Hi, hope you're good. This is what I had for lunch today. People are already commenting that I'm losing weight. The meals are so filling and yummy, and I don't get to binge on junk food anymore. It is very, 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 very powerful. And if you have no idea of where to start in terms of portion control, this is where you should start. Okay. So this is one of my clients, Aditola. So far, she's lost 13 kg and she's kept it off since 2020. Again, when you find a method that is sustainable, then it is so much easier for you to actually keep the weight off. Okay. It is possible for you to get results like this, even though you're eating carbs. So this was Crystal when she initially joined us, okay? And here's what she had to say. So she said, I had to lie to some of my colleagues that I was pregnant because I was too embarrassed to admit I added so much weight and the fat concentrated in my belly. I knew they would be wondering if I'm the one God gave the instruction to populate the earth, as I've delivered 4 times and my last is 1 year plus. But I prefer that assumption to the predictable comment of, you have to do something about this weight gain. And I think there's so many people that can relate to that. Maybe somebody else comment saying, I'm standing with 2 legs on this table. One of the most frustrating things, especially when you're actually putting effort and trying to lose this weight, all the, congratulations, yeah, bitchy, when are you gonna, deliver, and all this kind of annoying comments. And for her in particular, she's a doctor, so it's also, coming from patients, right, at the hospital. So I know this is something that a lot of us can relate with. And I was so happy that we're able to work together. So this was in May, and this happened in the initial 4 weeks. This is May versus June, okay? Eating carbs. And I mean eating carbs morning, afternoon, and night. But that's what is possible when you're in a calorie deficit. Now, this is Crystal 8 weeks later, and she says, my story has changed. I've gone from, Doc, what happened? You added a lot of weight, to, wow, you look great. Okay, so I'm super, 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 super happy with what we're able to help her achieve. And I mean, these are the kind of meals that she was having. Like I said, there is no food that is bad. You just need to learn how to incorporate it the healthy way. And when you're able to do that, then there's literally nothing stopping you from enjoying food and still getting the result that you want and that you deserve, really. So I want to use this opportunity to extend an invitation to you to work with me one-on-one. Okay, if you're ready to take the bull by the horn, you're tired of trying to figure things out by yourself, you're tired of wasting your precious time and money, and you could also use some major accountability to ensure that you stay on track and ensure that you finally get it right and not just lose weight but keep it off, then I definitely want to invite you to work with I and my team one-on-one. But to ensure that we're the right fit and that we'll be great working together, and to also ensure that I can really help you, I'm offering you a free initial consultation. Okay, so all you have to do is to hit the link below to fill. There's a form to fill, and then you can then book a time. Now, of course, there are only so many calls that I and my team can take. So please do ensure that you go ahead right now to book your time to speak with me or any select member of my team. We're going to discuss your goals. Okay, what are you trying to achieve? We're going to talk about, stuff you tried before. Just talk about your journey so far, the challenges that you've had. And then I'm going to explain how I can help. And if we both agree that we're a good fit, then definitely I'll be more than happy to welcome you to my program and work with you one-on-one to help you finally reach your goal. Okay, so I honestly cannot wait to talk to you very, very soon. And I cannot wait to experience and witness the transformation that I know that we can create together. Okay, so hit the link below right now and we'll talk soon. Bye. And yeah, I kept my promises. I promised that you're going to get a full day's low-calorie Nigerian meal plan. All you have to do is enter this URL into your browser and the plan will open, but ensure that you actually click download to ensure that it saves onto your device, whether it's your phone, your tab, or your computer. So you can take a screenshot right now, or you can write it down somewhere. Just enter it into your browser and you'll be able to download the plan. All right then.